Welcome back, everybody. My name again is Greg Fancher. I'm the Career Connected Learning Coordinator for ESD 123, and I'm proud to be your moderator. For this part of the afternoon session, we're going to kind of switch topics, and we're going to look at what employers can do to develop that workforce and that powerful workforce that we need for our area. And we're going to start this afternoon with our Careers in Manufacturing group. The Careers in Manufacturing group is a group that works to raise awareness and develop plans to address workforce needs in our area. The members of the group discuss specific workforce gaps and training preparation needed to be a successful candidate for those positions. This session features 3 members of the Careers in Manufacturing group, and their mission is to really promote careers in manufacturing through education and community programs. With us this afternoon are Lance Stevens, the manager of Operations Strategy and Supply Chain from Framatome, Dex Dutson, the Director of Technical Engineering at Weston, and Andrew Ellenberger, the Training Coordinator for Sandvik Special Metals. So gentlemen, thank you very much for being here today. We're really excited to hear what you have to share with us about careers in manufacturing. It's all yours, Lance.
Very excited to talk about this subject. We are passionate about the subject, careers in manufacturing. We'd like to talk with you for the next 30 minutes or so about this. You'll hear from each of us. We have 3 colleagues from the team, like Greg said. It's been really interesting hearing some of the other panels and hearing some of the consistent themes about awareness, exposure, connections, career paths that change. It's been a very exciting seminar. So thank you again, Greg, for letting us be a part of this. Who is Careers in Manufacturing? In summary, it's a group of about 20 companies and educators and entities who are passionate about this subject. We started this about 5 years ago, and we've been trying to raise awareness through community outreach, through programs, through communication, that there are some incredible opportunities here in the local area for very good careers in manufacturing. And we do think there is a gap between what is seen and known by the school systems and the students and the workforce needs that we have as the local manufacturing companies. Why did we start this? We've all heard about the gray tsunami and the retirements that are coming. We are getting grayer, we're getting older. They are coming. The gray tsunami is here. So this is a real need that the local companies have. The other aspect is we love this area. We think this area has incredible potential, both infrastructure, economy, people, diversity. It has everything we need to make this a manufacturing center of excellence. In front of you here is what's called the vision story. We built this as a group. Some of the key words, like I'd said, we are thrilled about the potential we have here in Southeast Washington. We think it's absolutely outstanding. We know this requires engagement from parents, from families, from mentors. We heard from some of the other panelists about that, about the importance of having role models and people who students can look up to and learn about some of these opportunities. Of course, we need strong participation from the teachers and from counselors, and we need to be aligned with them to make sure that we can fill this workforce gap that we have and that we can provide these opportunities to these wonderful local students. And last and certainly not least, students. We want students aware of these opportunities, engaged, and excited about the workforce opportunities that they have right here in their backyard. Next slide, please, Dex. We're joined here with, I'm joined with 2 colleagues here. Lance Stevens, again, is my name. I work for Framatome. We are a local manufacturing company. We employ about 500 people here. We build fuel assemblies, nuclear fuel assemblies for power plants. We're responsible for about 5% of the power within the US, and it's all carbon free. Dex, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, certainly. I'm Dex Dutson. I'm the Director of Technical Engineering for Lamb Weston. So I'm based out of Kennewick here. They asked us to talk a little bit about our journey, and I'll just share 1 or 2 minutes there. Key points, a technical trade program many years ago in the 80s began my career path. I started a 15-year career in IT and was able to see, I had a really awesome IT career and was able to begin working at manufacturing facilities in aerospace and then in the food industry, and began to see very blurry lines between IT and OT. And so I reached out into the OT space and wore both hats for a time. Now I'm in the engineering group, leading controls and automation and packaging and waste treatment engineering. So the technical sides of our engineering and our business. You know, I found adaptability is a key item, has been a key item in my career, and soft skills, management, task management, things like that, building along the way have helped me be able to move into the ranks of the management group as well. And a big point that I would bring up here, and why I have such a passion for what we're doing here, is seeing that what manufacturing has meant in my career and what that technical trade led to, technical certification in IT led to for me, to be able to build upon that and take that and make something more of it throughout my career. IT, information technologies, those are basically the computer geeks that run around your organizations, making sure that your networking and desktop computing is working. OT is the organizational technologies that are on the floor. So think of that as the pieces of machinery that sit out on the floor that you need to automate and make do something.
Super, thank you, Dex. My story, we're each sharing a little bit of our story for how we got where we are. Mine is relatively boring. Graduated from high school in Albuquerque, moved up to Washington. I made the smart decision to stay within the state, but move as far away from my parents as I could. So I went to WSU in Pullman, mechanical engineering degree. I took an offer at Siemens Power Corporation because I like the area. I love the area here. And I've been there ever since. I did spend 2 years in Germany. So that's one example of, you do have some opportunities for mobility within a lot of these companies. When I came back from Europe, I was offered the opportunity to go from product design to manufacturing. And my enjoyment is about threefold more because of that decision. Why? Manufacturing is always exciting. It's never the same. And you get a sense of pride in building something and seeing it leave your shop, knowing that it's going out to the world to serve a purpose. I stayed within manufacturing, became the plant operations manager here. And then after a while, after about 7 years, I was looking for something new. And so at the ripe age of 50, I got into supply chain as another key point. And that is, you never know where your career will take you, where your path will take you. And so I've been learning supply chain for the past 5 years. And that's something that we certainly want from the people that we hire, is someone who wants to continually learn, someone who comes to work with energy, with enthusiasm, and wants to learn. With that, I'll hand the floor over to Andrew from Sandvik.
Hi, my name is Andrew Ellenberger. I'm from Sandvik Special Metals here in Kennewick, Washington. So I'm the training coordinator at the facility. I've been doing this for a little over 5 years. I essentially help them develop training for the whole entire facility, as well as standard operating procedures and ensuring that people are competent to do what they need to know how to do. Through my journey, when I was in high school, I thought I was going to be a mechanic, diesel mechanic to be specific. Started doing that at the right age of 16. Went to school at Walla Walla Community College for that. Didn't quite finish the degree there. Moved up to Bellingham area. Was going to finish out at Bellingham Tech. Decided that when I started at a manufacturing facility there, that I did not want to do diesel mechanics anymore. Manufacturing equipment was much nicer, as it didn't travel on the road out in the weather all the time. So I got to learn my first taste of manufacturing there. Started there as a technician to repair equipment, worked there for 5 years. Then went and worked for a non-destructive testing company for about 8 months to learn non-destructive testing, ensuring that piping was, of course, not worn or worn out. From that point, I went and worked for a precast concrete company, learning how to do construction for concrete, and learned quite a bit there. That's where I started some of my soft and managerial skills, as they put me in a supervisory role of 30 people. And then we kind of went from that point. Came back to the Tri-Cities, started at a titanium facility located out in Richland, worked for them for a few years. And then I started for Sandvik. My biggest key point is through all the different roles I've had, from entry-level operator all the way through diesel technician or maintenance technicians, all the way into the training coordinator now, is you have to make sure you're adaptable, want to learn. If you find something that interests you, pursue it, especially if those companies are offering it, and a lot of them do. The other thing is just keep an open mind. I never thought in high school that I'd ever be doing a training coordinator position for a manufacturing facility, which is similar to a teacher's role, but I am doing that today. So, and I enjoy it. So going into kind of why consider career in manufacturing out there, a lot of manufacturing companies offer competitive wages, and it's not generally the base minimum wage. So you offer quite a bit higher than competitive wages going in, as well as health benefits and 401k packages. They're great to get started. To be honest with you, a lot of students that I talk to out in the community, when we talk about health and 401k packages, they're never looking at these things right off the get-go. They're more, I need to go talk to my parents with this kind of stuff. So talking with them a little bit to kind of bring that topic to mind, so at least they can understand what it's about going in the communities and what they should be looking for, is a great opportunity there. We have quite a few in-demand professions. For the last 2.5 years, I know quite a few of us have not been able to get enough people, especially for the entry-level operator positions, in the door to get them started so that they can develop into on-the-job training and have those growth opportunities that are offered through manufacturing companies. The other thing that is not too prevalent, unless the questions are generally asked, is education reimbursement. When I was in school, no one ever told me that a company would bring you on and then allow you and pay for your education to further your education going forward. So these kind of things are great things for students and other people to know going into the manufacturing industries. And then a rewarding career, basically it's endless. I mean, you can go from an entry-level operator, if that's where you want to stay, all the way up to managing director, CEO, if that's where you want to strive to be. So these companies offer very, very broad range of rewarding careers.
I think you did a really good job of articulating and quickly pointing out some of those reasons that we might want to steer people towards these types of careers. So we're going to get right to the heart of it here, right off the get-go, and talk about one of the clear lessons that we have found in our CIM Careers in Manufacturing group. And that is, the big takeaway has been there is a big gap between what manufacturers and those of us that are hiring people and the educators, those in your space, and the education system. There's a gap between those two groups. And it isn't a gap in goals. We all want the same thing. We have the same vision. but how do we bridge that gap? And it's probably a gap in information and communications, right? How do we bridge that gap and achieve the vision that we both want, everybody wants? Well, I think the heart of it lies with what you see at the bottom left there. There's a lot that a student can do for themselves. There's a lot that a potential job seeker can do for themselves. And I'm going to list 5 items here. The first is the experience, and especially when they're in the formative points of their education, take advantage of everything that you can. The vocational classes, go to the skill center, the job internships if they're available. There's no better way to learn what it's going to be like on the job in a manufacturing facility. And then it helps the manufacturers as well kind of test drive, if you will, and see if that's a person that they want to pull on full time. And then volunteer for things, volunteer for extra credit things, volunteer for extra activities, volunteer even in the community. It's all part of building that toolkit and building that whole person that then becomes attractive to a potential employer. And then you identify a path, do research, start figuring out what looks interesting to you. One of the things that we pointed out here is the Career Explorer Northwest. It's one of the websites that they can go to, a great place to begin exploring this stuff. And then take interesting and challenging classes. Maybe they don't think that they want to be a computer programmer, but sign up for that C++ class. It may lead to something that you didn't realize you liked. And it's also true that many of those things are utilized a lot more than they think later on down the road. That logical thinking and project management, any of those things that they can get involved in. Take the initiative to visit with their counselors. Have somebody help you create a good resume. Promote your strengths. And that even includes hobbies. What do you like doing? Why do you care about that? Well, because that may parlay into something that becomes a career that you really enjoy. And then attend career fairs. A good example of that, Careers in Manufacturing as a group, we typically do put on in October or thereabouts career fair where potential job seekers can come in and begin to look at and lay their hands on equipment and take a look at the capabilities that some of the manufacturing groups here offer to offer them some opportunities in employment. And it's all about the connections, right? We say that over and over. Couldn't be more true here. Those people that you get to know, those people that you make a connection with that lasts and you remember that person. We just had a new person start yesterday, that we had met at one of these events, and she really stood out to me as someone that stood above her peers. And we were able to pull her in for interviews, and now she works for us. And then lastly, demonstrate that you have what the employers want. And I couldn't emphasize enough how important it is that young people are coached in this stuff. It's not taken for granted that you're reliable. Are you reliable? Do you have a positive attitude? Eager to learn and able to assimilate new things, flexible and adaptable. When I started my IT career, and this is going to age me, I worked on Wang computers. And I thought I could make them stand on their head and tell jokes. And I thought, wow, this is my career for 30 years. Well, it turns out I had to adapt. They haven't been around for 20, 25 years now. So anyway, and then are you motivated, and are you a team player that I would want to hire? About 80% of what I interview for is who you are and your basic foundational toolkit. And about 20% is what you come knowing. We get degreed people. That doesn't mean you're going to work very well in our environment. So you need to be able to demonstrate that you have that. And then to wrap it all up and put a bow on it, what is the key takeaway? These are the items I would tell you to highlight and more than anything, remember from this discussion. Lance touched on it earlier. there's an aging workforce. And the fact of the matter is it's getting worse, not better. The circles that I run in, we're seeing that those numbers of shortages are getting more and more and more acute. The boomers are retiring and there just simply aren't enough of the really great talent coming up the pipeline to take their place. The opportunities are replete, especially here in southeastern Washington. Some of my technicians, I'll bet Lance and Andrew could share the same. I have a couple of guys that I'm sure if they lost their job this morning, by this afternoon, they could have another one because they're in such demand. There is a gap between industry needs and the educator/student perspectives. That's what we've been talking about. What do we need to work on? Let's work together to figure out how to bridge those gaps. Let's put the bullet points together, the structure for how we handle moving forward with these limited resources that we have. And then lastly, there isn't one magical path. There's no template out there that's going to have a one size fits all that you can just apply and then boom, we've answered all our questions. It's going to be a custom fit for us.
So for these questions, we'll just slice and dice. Dex, why don't you take the first and third and combine those together, would you?
All right, you bet. Because they are very closely related. This is my little corner of the world. This is what I'm seeing. We do see that on the plant floor, those equipment operators, there's a pretty high turnover there. They are very well paid, and we are in some markets having a heck of a time trying to fill those. My little corner of the world is made up of the technical folks, the automation and controls guys, the guys that can lean in and program PLCs to do a task. We have to search far and wide for these people, and they're commanding a really hefty wage right now because there is a shortage of them. And we are also having to go outside and find integration companies that have those people and hire them at an even higher cost because we can't fill all the gaps. And in finding good engineers, we are able to fill the pipeline with resumes. Sometimes the people that have these skill sets that we need are a little bit harder to come by. Anticipated gaps in the future, I think that gets more acute as time goes on, especially in those highly technical areas, electricians, electronics, controls and automation and things like that. It's becoming harder and harder to find those folks. And I anticipate more and more trouble trying to bridge that gap.
Very well summarized, Dex. Thank you. And one thing I would add, all three of the companies, Framatome, Weston, and Sandvik, expressed the need for production technicians or production operators. And these are folks who are typically high school degree and have the right mindset, like Dex and Andrew were talking about. And you can build yourself a very good career starting with that position. We'll go to question number 2, and I can summarize the three companies here. How many employees do we have, and how many do we typically hire? So Framatome is around 14,000 globally. Weston is also multi-thousand. Sandvik is 40,000 globally. So each of these three companies have multiple sites, and we each have a local manufacturing site or more than one site. We hire, Framatome locally hires around 50 people. And like Andrew was saying before, that's per year. Like Andrew was saying before, it's a myriad of positions, from supervisors and managers to production technicians to craft and trade. It's the whole spectrum here on these sites. Andrew, you've had some of the best experience with respect to internships. Would you like to hit question number 4 for us?
Yeah, sure. Just give me a sec. So in doing careers in manufacturing, some of the conversations we've had with local schools within the community is that high school levels don't really have the opportunity for internships through manufacturing. So to start a path down that, and partnering with Tritech Skills Center in Kennewick, we kind of figured out a way to start a manufacturing operator internship. We started it off with a couple of students within their programs of construction, diesel mechanics, auto mechanics, machining, with the different types of skills that a lot of the manufacturing are looking for core skills. And they also have a drone manufacturing program that they recently started as well. So those were all different programs that we took a look at. They had 2 students that fit to the criteria that we were looking for to start with. And basically we brought them on as paid interns, and they went through the normal orientation process, similar to a normal employee would, with a little bit of a minor thing, just explaining some of these different benefits and things that were available to them so that they kind of understood them, as well as how safety focused in our different safety programs that we have out in our industries. From that point, basically they were assigned to a mentor on the shop floor, on the production floor, and they worked hand in hand with those mentors on specific machinery to learn what it took to operate and set up those machinery to produce a end quality product to move it forward. The students did very well in this first round that we had. Unfortunately, due to the COVID-related situation, we had to halt the program for now. We do hope to bring it back in the future when it's safe for everybody to restart. But they got to learn different things that we were taking a look at. They got feedback every 2 weeks on how they were doing. They got to learn how adaptable they had to be on a day-to-day basis when they were there for 4 hours per day. Yeah, and it was a good program, and they were doing really well. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we had to kind of put a halt to it for now, but we hope to pick it back up here soon.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Dex had mentioned the gap, the bridge and the gap earlier. One issue that we have is that most of these manufacturing companies are quite lean, and so we don't have a plethora of extra resources for some of the potential good programs that are out there. And so that's one of the areas that we would like to figure out how to bridge that gap. And I think Jason Miller is presenting here shortly on his website and some of the communication vehicles that website, Careers Northwest, can bring. And perhaps that's part of the solution. Dex, I liked your answer on the first one.
Oh, the education. Okay.
Would you respond to the first one? Yeah,
you bet. Probably one of the biggest things there, and I'm going to repeat myself just a little bit here, but the soft skills and preparation for people to understand what the real world is like, and to understand what is expected from employers, how much the soft skill matters, task management, being able to prioritize, being able to change on a dime and change your horses in midstream and then go a different direction, because every day isn't the same. You're going to be expected to take responsibility and own things all the way through, and that means reaching beyond yourself. Another thing is the adaptability part of it, making sure that people come away understanding what their limitations, self-imposed limitations are. I see it over and over within our organization. If you want to move up through the organization and become a plant manager or up into the senior leadership team, it means you're going to have to move around. You won't just be able to stay in the same place. And as long as they understand that, that's okay. And then that helps prepare them to make decisions for the career that they want. And then lastly, the importance of the items that we mentioned a couple of slides ago, making sure that you've cultivated good skills in and being reliable and being able to work with others. Communications is a big one that most times, if you talk to somebody in manufacturing, like the three of us here, you could go find any 20 people on the street that are in our similar position, and I'm sure communications would come up. Sometimes, especially with the young folks, they come very woefully prepared to be able to communicate face to face, to be able to communicate across different disciplines and maybe up and down the organization. That seems to be a lacking skill there as well.
One of the points that I'm not sure if we covered, but most of these companies will train the individuals. So what we seek are people with the right attributes and people with the right basic skills, and then we'll train you from there as you grow within the company. And then how about as our last question, why don't we take the last one there? We can free form it. Dex or Andrew, anything that you would mention?
Oh, for the resume?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll start on that, field that one to start with. And I've actually, this is near and dear to my heart because we're in the process of hiring, and I've seen lots and lots and lots of resumes recently. 2 or 3 things that I would point out there. Spend the time to reach out and get somebody to help you put together a nicely laid out, well thought out resume. If I have enough resumes that I can do this, if I start to see a lot of misspelled words or things like that, boy, I just love tossing those in the trash, because I have the attitude, if there's one time in your life to sell yourself, and if you didn't go to the trouble to make that resume stand out and shine, shame on you. So make sure that it's nothing misspelled, that there's lots of white space, that you're putting your best foot forward. Those things that you are selling the most should be at the very top.
Yeah, I would reiterate a little bit of that on deck with Dex there, and agree. The more you put down there and related to explaining your experiences, the better off you'd be, even if you don't think it's something that's applicable to whatever career you're applying it to. You may have some skills within that you didn't realize that we're looking for. So I would definitely take the time to lay it out really well and explain your experiences to the best of your ability.
Yeah, and really following on that, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for not having a good resume. I mean, geez, all you got to do is look up resume templates online, and you'll come up with hundreds.
One final point: when you do meet the recruiter, make sure that you meet them with engagement and with enthusiasm. Don't make us feel like you're bored to be there. I've seen that a few times.
Yeah.
Greg, part of manufacturing is that we deliver on time. So I think we're done here. Is there anything else you'd like for us to cover?
I would like, there's a couple of questions in the chat, but we need to do the Reader's Digest version of the answers, but I think they're good ones. So it says, can you briefly describe how a graduating senior from high school would look for an entry-level operator position, and what are the minimum requirements you're looking for?
So general minimum requirements for entry-level operators here, high school diploma or GED. The ability to be flexible on the shift that you're willing to work, and be available to start as soon as possible. We like it when you have technical skills within high school, so make sure you put those down, especially if you have certificates or awards that they have, and then just be ready to explain how you got those to whoever is doing the interview process.
And so kind of what you're...
And the way to find it would be general company website. We work with local workforce, things like that, to find the open positions.
I'm not sure how widespread this still is. My suspicion is a lot of companies are still doing this, but they need to understand they're going to have to pass a drug screening too.
Good point.
Ours is pretty stringent. They do a hair follicle one. So if you've used anytime your hair logged, you're going to be hosed. And it surprises me how big of a percentage of people can't get past that. And I'm often surprised at how young people come into the job force, wanting to come into the job force with multiple felonies too, and that really hurts their chances of a good career.
So part of what I'm hearing you say is that resume is really important. So any experiences you've had or special training that you've had, you really want to highlight those in that resume, especially if you're coming right out of high school.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a couple of other questions, but we are out of time, unfortunately. So I just want to tell you guys, I really appreciate you taking time to come and share with us today. And it's great to hear about what's available for kids in manufacturing, because I think sometimes people forget manufacturing is a huge industry in our area with lots and lots of jobs and lots of opportunities for kids to really create some unique career paths for them as they go through those careers. So Lance and Andrew and Dex, hey, thank you very much for taking time to share with us, and we'll see you at the next Careers in Manufacturing meeting. Thanks a ton.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Greg.
Thanks for having us.
So we are going to move to Julia Reed and the State of Innovation Challenge. The challenge is sponsored by Career Connect Washington, and Career Connect Washington works statewide to combine classroom learning with practical career experiences for youth and young adults. They emphasize career explore, career prep, and career launch opportunities for our youth. And Julia specifically works with the State of Innovation Challenge that tries to connect students with real world problems and encourages the use of imagination and skill to create innovative solutions to those problems.
Thanks so much, Greg. Thanks for having me, everybody. And this hopefully will be a good follow-on to the discussion on manufacturing. So as Greg mentioned, I'm Julia Reed. I'm a senior consultant with Kinetic West, and I'm here today to talk to you about the State of Innovation Challenge, which is a new virtual career-connected problem-solving challenge that is coming out at the end of this month for middle school, high school, and also it's open to out-of-school youth, youth and re-engagement programs, WIOA eligible youth and open doors programs. This is, I should start by saying what it's not. This is not a big new curriculum you have to teach. This is not a heavy, complex project that has a lot of restrictions. This is something that is flexible, that is intended to support teachers in the work you're already doing, trying to connect with students and to engage young people and give them an opportunity to think about and imagine solutions to the problems facing our state right now. So let me just dive into it. I will go through, and I'm happy to share these slides with Greg afterwards if he wants to share them out with conference attendees. So as I said, the State of Innovation Challenge is a career-connected problem-solving challenge for young people in middle school, high school, and also out-of-school youth. And the goal of the challenge is really to empower youth voice in solving some of Washington's biggest problems. So we are giving young people the mic. We are asking you to think about challenges that the state is facing right now, whether that's how teens can be mentally healthy while social distancing, or how to get healthier, more local foods into school lunches, and maybe how to better distribute school meals now that we're not actually in school buildings for many students, all the way up to thinking about manufacturing and, you know, what do our manufacturing centers look like in the future? How can they be more resilient and safer and maybe more sustainable for the post-COVID-19 world that we will one day enter. State of Innovation Challenge is also encouraging collaboration between teachers and adult advisors. So there's opportunities for teachers to share lesson plans and activities with each other. The challenge can also be done in a club setting or in a CTSO. DECA, YTSA, HOSA, 4-H, you might have seen on the front slide, is a partner in this project. Is going to be doing it with their 4-H students. So teachers or adult advisors to share lesson plans, activities, and other ideas that have worked for them with others across the state. And then also to bring industry and post-secondary into the virtual classroom. So as students are designing solutions to the challenge cases, They'll have opportunities to join industry engagements, kind of like this, Zoom webinar type engagements with industry leaders from a bunch of different fields across the state, including folks like Silicon Forest Electronics in Vancouver, and Wagstaff, just to give a couple of manufacturing shout outs, and learn more about those careers and also ask those folks questions about how their work is actually going, how they've been impacted by COVID-19. And again, I think the goal of this project is really to kind of elevate youth voice in addressing what's been a really tough year. Our tagline for this is that 2020 has problems and we think youth have solutions. My slightly cheekier tagline for this is that teenagers are not blind and they're not dumb, and they see what's going on around them and they want to have a voice and want to be heard. And so we want to give them, through the challenge, an opportunity to share their ideas with leaders through the state. Again, this is intended to support work that's already going on in the classroom, in clubs, and hopefully give you an avenue to connect lessons, learning that you're already doing to real world problems and maybe break through some of that Zoom fatigue a little bit. Give students a chance to explore career pathways and also an opportunity to be recognized. So at the end of the challenge, we'll be having a sort of awards recognition ceremony where we'll kind of recognize some of the most creative solutions that we've received. You can do the challenge in a very scalable way. To submit a solution, it can take as little as 1 hour. We provide an instructional guide with the information on each of the problem cases, as well as background information that you could share with students. And in as little as an hour, you could have them read, discuss, and create a nano project, which could be just a short Flipgrid video, or you could do a video on another format or email us a short solution. That's just kind of their 2-minute thoughts on the problem. There's micro projects, that's more 1 to 4 weeks. That's, short videos, longer videos, short essays, maybe a short research project where they develop questions and then go out and ask folks in their community and report back on their findings, or an elevator pitch for a business idea that they have related to the solution, all the way up to a macro project. That would be more for students who are in, for example, CTE courses or skill center courses where they can actually manufacture or build something. They could build a model, could build a computer program. You could do this as a service project. You could do a longer research project, more detailed business plan. And again, this is something where we're very connected to a lot of the CTSO clubs. So if you're doing a project for DECA or FFA or 4-H, you could also submit that same project to State of Innovation Challenge. Our requirements are a little bit less stringent. And the challenge is asking students to look at one of 3 case problems. The first one is the food chain. That's really asking young people to think about how can we ensure that every Washingtonian has access to healthy, affordable, and environmentally sustainable food during the pandemic. That gives them an opportunity to explore everything from agriculture careers to restaurants and hospitality careers. There's responding to COVID-19. It's a 2-parter. It's looking at how do we support the mental health of teens and elders while social distancing. That could be everything from social robots that use AI to communicate with people to nurses and doctors and other healthcare careers that help keep patients connected to their families, even though they can't actually see them, all the way to outdoor recreation careers, sports. There's lots of ways to keep connected while also keeping people healthy. And we want to kind of get students' ideas on what they think would be good answers for that. There's a second part to responding to COVID-19 that invites students to consider how we can ensure residents have accurate, actionable, accessible information about COVID. That covers everything from asking students to think about misinformation online, learn about journalism careers and careers in communication, asking them to think about testing, how could testing protocols work better for their communities. That gives them a chance to think about public health careers. A lot of fire departments, emergency services are involved in that work. And also all the way up to work that's happening at the UW, creating COVID exposure notification apps that are going to eventually be something that's nationwide. So it's a great opportunity to learn about computer science, AI, and other STEM activities. Our communities after COVID-19 really looks at how we can help Washington build back from the pandemic in a healthier, more sustainable way. So how could we have better schools? How could we have better educational experiences? How could our manufacturing centers be different? What should we do with urban centers where maybe not all the office buildings are going to be used? If people are moving out of cities and towns into more rural areas as they have more flexibility on where to live and work, for some people, how is that putting an impact on our environment, maybe putting them at greater risk for wildfire impacts, and how can we be thinking about those challenges in the future? So under each of these case challenges, and I don't think unfortunately I'll have time to go through each of them, but there is the case, and then there are smaller problem-solving prompts that give students or youth and their adults that they're working with kind of easier ways to sort of zoom into the problem. So you could be working on the food chain case. Maybe you're thinking about how could you have better school meals, or what would your restaurant do if you were running a restaurant today? Or how could we connect farmers with surplus food to places in our state that are in need of additional food resources? There's questions similarly on responding to COVID-19. And as I said, it covers everything from elder isolation to testing protocols. And similarly on our communities after COVID-19, that's really looking at housing, manufacturing, climate change, school redesign. I'm moving real fast because I'm keeping an eye on the fact I only have 2 minutes left. But basically the challenge has kind of 3 simple steps. So, first you want to plan. So pick the case that you're going to work on and the problem you're going to work on. That could be something each young person could do their own. You could work in groups, a whole class or group project club could do one challenge. You pick your depth. Are you going to do nano responses, micro responses, macro responses, and then develop lessons or activities? So as I said, we provide some instructional guides. We provide videos introducing the cases. We also have office hours available to educators for coaching and for one-on-one support. Then you kind of incorporate the challenge issues into lesson plans or activities you're already doing. You can share those with other educators and adult leaders on OER Commons. You pick what industry engagements will happen. We'll be recording them. So if your students can't join live, they can join and when the time is good for them. And then there will also be opportunities on information on post-secondary pathways on the website, as well as potentially some interactive engagements around that. And then you submit your projects. So there will be submission guidelines. You'd submit them through our website, which is innovationwa.org, and more on that. I see Greg coming in to tell me I'm at time. Okay, last minute. If you're interested in the challenge, please go to our website, www.innovationwa.org. The best thing you can do is sign up for the email list. We will be launching the full website early next week. That will include more information about the challenge. If you're on the email list, you'll be notified when it goes up. So please go and sign up for that. And if you're an educator and you're on OER Commons, you can also sign up for OER Commons page. Okay, still 150, Greg.
That was definitely the Reader's Digest version. So I just want to be clear about one thing for folks who are interested in signing up for it. When you go to innovationwa.org, are you signing up for the program, or is that sign up still coming?
So if you go to innovationwa.org, you sign up for the outreach list. There isn't sort of an official, that's sort of how you indicate, I'm interested in this and I would like to learn more and get my students involved. And then once you're on the outreach list, you'll get all of the information about the program, and also all the information will be posted on the website. And one of the things that's nice about this is you can pick the pieces of a program that work really well for you and leave what doesn't work. So maybe you just want your students to participate in the industry engagements, but you're not going to have them build challenge solutions. Maybe you're going to have them build challenge solutions, but you want to kind of shape your own problems a little bit. You can, it's a very modular program. I think about it like a giant tinker toy, and teachers and educators and adult advisors and students, youth, can kind of pick off the pieces that work best for them and leave the modules that, that don't fit in with their winter plans.
Okay, then one more quick question. So, the challenges are up, or are they coming?
The challenges are up. You can preview the challenges now on the website. And the kind of full detail on all of the challenges will be up early next week. So you can see the cases now on the website. But the case videos and the instructional guides that you'll be using to kind of shape the challenge, or that adults will use, this is something a young person could do independently, but it's really designed to be kind of adult facilitated and youth and centered on youth voice. But you could do it independently if you were a young person who was really excited. And so all of that information will be on the website by early next week. So, and we'll send out a notification to everyone on the email list about that.
So Julia, thank you very much for being here today. Thank you for accepting our innovation challenge and seeing how innovative you can be to present this in 10 minutes or less. We appreciate
It was
that.
definitely the speed round. I'm happy to share these slides with folks after. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.